write an equation, you have to understand that the best and easiest way to do that, just given a rough sketch like that, is using factored form of the answer. All right. So we do want to kind of examine factored form. All right. Factored form we talked about earlier being maybe a couple binomials sitting next to each other being multiplied, could possibly have a 2x or an x squared or something like that in front of it. Okay. So factored form deals with your zeros. All right. Well, the zeros or the solutions of the polynomial curve are located where the x intercepts are. Okay. So that right there tells you a lot of different things. It tells you the x-intercepts. All right, so if I said, what are the x-intercepts, you would still look at that point on the graph. If I asked for the zeros of the function, you would still look at those points on the graph. All right, or if I asked for the solutions, all right, of the equation, you would still look at that same spot on the graph, because all three of those things refer to the same thing, except the way they're written. Okay, now we're concerned with an equation. So we're going to set this thing equal to 0 to make it an equation. We're going to take each one of these roots. All right, if this right here is -3, this one is 0, this one is 3. All right, if -3 is a 0, all right, or a, let's even put on there root, because I just used that word. If -3 is a root, then that means that x plus 3 has to be a factor. Okay, and that's because of that zero product property that says if you've got two things multiplied together and they are equal to 0, then one of them has to be 0, so you set them both equal to 0. All right, this one is a little bit trickier. We'll address that in a minute. All right, and then this one right here, if 3 is a root, then x minus 3 has to be a factor. So again, that also has to be a factor. So there's two factors right there. So I've got an x plus a 3 and an x minus a 3. I know I want an equation, so I'm going to say equals 0. So as long as I've got an equal sign, I now have an equation. All right, now I have to deal with this right here. All right, if the root is 0, what would the factor have to be? All right, well, it could be something extremely simple, all right, as no more than just an x. All right, it could be a 2x, it could be a 3x, it could be a 4x. All right, we really don't know from no more than we are given here. So just a bare minimum of an x there. So if I had an x here, okay, then this would be one possible equation for the curve. All right, now I do have to make sure that I consider my end behavior. All right, it's going down here and it's going up here. All right, so we took a good look at that last time and a couple of times before that. All right, so it's obviously down up in behavior. So down up into behavior. All right, which means it's going to be an odd exponent. All right, well, x times x times x, if I were to multiply that all out, I'd have an x to the third, and I've got two turning points, so that looks good. With it being the down up into behavior, that means I need a positive leading coefficient, and I didn't put a negative number in front of it, so then we're good. All right, so that right there, going through and putting together everything that we know so far, that gets us one possible equation. Okay, now going, and if you're struggling with understanding why this is a 0 and this is a factor, all right, if I had something like this, all right, if it said solve and you were given x plus 3, x minus 3, and then equals 0, you would use the zero product principle. Product principle. All right, which you do it and no one knows that it's called that. All right, but what is it? You set each one of them equal to 0 and solve. I think I did this last Monday. So then there's your x equals -3, and then setting that one equal to 0, x equals 3. All right, so there's the 3, there's the -3, and then there's the 0. All right, and so that's how I get, if this is the 0, then this has to be the factor, and it's because I'm undoing the solving of that equation. Okay, So again, this is just kind of like a little miscellaneous review. This is a pretty common question that has showed up on different things, written homeworks, my math lab homeworks. All right, so I thought I would definitely address it.